My name is Betsy Stalder, and I will be discussing Google Classroom today. One of the big things to realize first when thinking about Google Classroom is that it was not, like Seesaw, intended to be used as a standalone platform. And because of that, it causes a lot of frustration for parents, families, teachers, everyone. But we can harness it and use it for good. One of the top questions I get asked by my students and by parents is why aren't my grades updated, right? Why aren't they the same? I saw it in Google Classroom. It says it's missing in Skyward. It says it's missing in Infinite Campus. And the answer is they just don't really talk to each other because they were intended to be separate platforms. There is some integration with Infinite Campus. My district does not have that. However, it does not have standards-based grading, so it's really not a useful tool for most elementary school systems. That means that the teacher has to put the assignment into Google Classroom and then manually update it into the learning management system later. Skyward and Google, they told us in 2019, in September, well before COVID, that they would be able to talk to each other soon. They have not made that happen. And because of that manual entry issue, there tends to be some errors because when you're staring at some spreadsheets and they're side by side, it causes some problems sometimes. So it's really easy just to send an email to a staff member or to a parent or just double check your students' work, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Next. All right, so one of the other big things is why am I getting so many emails? The answer to that is because your notification settings need to be changed. I put some screenshots here. Again, I will show you how to do that later as well live. But essentially, you're going to hit the little pancake. That's our little stacks in the top left corner. Once you hit that pancake, there's these little setting gears in the bottom. Once you get there, you get to change how you want your notifications sent to your student. Now, keep in mind, this is to the student, not to the parent. The parent does not receive the same information that the student does. So you can access comments on your posts. You can have comments that mention you. You can see if there are private comments, return grades. Maybe you want every email ever and all the information. Great, select everything. Maybe you want to step back just a little smidge so that your student isn't quite so overwhelmed. If they're like me and they get a little anxious by the 5,000 emails, because remember, Classroom will also tell you in the app itself. So this is highly customizable, and you can talk to your student's teacher as well to see like what is best for their particular learning environment. Next. The other thing is, how do I as a parent know what is going on in Google Classroom if there is nothing in Skyward, if there's nothing in Infinite Campus, because they don't talk, right? So the answer to this is student work summaries. So this is something that is not a default for districts. They do have to, put this in manually and choose to authorize it. I did link at the top there. You'll receive this PowerPoint later, so you can get the link there. But the Guardian email summaries, I love them. You can get them once a day or once a week. You do have to be added manually by your student's teacher, but they tell you what's due, what's missing, and kind of give you what's happening. So they'll actually put in like all of the stream information that like maybe there were some announcements, things like that. But the important thing to note here is that you are not able to access your student's dashboard at all. So unlike Seesaw, where you do have some like parent input and you're able to see some things, in Google Classroom, that is not the case. It is more intended, I think, for older students. So we do have some workarounds due to that. But the student work summaries are a good workaround. They have the assignments, and then you can use that to ask your student directly, hey, so I noticed this is missing, or you got 2 out of 5 points on this assignment. So can you show me online where that is? Let's talk about it. Let's think about it, and so on. Next. Other things to do. There are lists. Again, you do have to do a little like finagling on Google to figure out what's going on. But once you kind of learn the language, it becomes more streamlined and easier to utilize. So our to-do list is going to tell us all about missing items, completed and upcoming assignments. And then also, which I love, is once a teacher gives a due date to an assignment, so let's say I say your lab is due on Tuesday, it turns out it auto-populates onto Google Calendar, which I love. And then once you get to Google Calendar, you can be like, okay, Ecosystem Lab, I don't even know where the heck that is. What class is that even for? you just click on it and it takes you directly to the assignment. So this is a really powerful tool. I love the calendar, but that being said, it has to be with an assignment that has been given a due date. If it is one of those things that just like a resource, or if it does not have a due date, well, then you're kind of out of luck with the Google Calendar. So maybe the to-do list is a little bit better for you for that one. All right, next. So a few pro tips before I go into kind of the demo portion. I did put in some simple templates for contacting teachers about things because the notification system from student to instructor is not great. Again, these are things that we're kind of building workarounds for as we go. So you may be thinking like, oh, I typed in a private comment. Hey, when are you going to grade this on Google Classroom? So I, as an instructor, despite the fact that I have the app on my phone with notifications enabled, I do not always receive those notifications. Sometimes it just doesn't come to me. Sometimes it gives me a little like blink and then they're gone forever and I can't figure out which student or which assignment things came from. So that can be really frustrating. So I do recommend, unless your instructor is really great at, and they only use Google and they only have the one class with the one set of students, it might be better to consider emailing them directly with any concerns and just asking them. Always assume everything's an error because we have not been trained in how to manage this volume of emails. We haven't been trained in managing all these different platforms. A lot of people have, some people have, so I have, right? But a lot of people have not. And so as we're kind of navigating this, I would always err on the side of assuming that there was just a simple error. And usually those can be fixed super, super easily. And again, there's a few little stems for you guys to use if you would like. Next. All right, hardware issues. We have a lot of them at the high school level, especially and elementary school and middle school, and we have an intermediate school anyways. So we have a ton of issues because our students have too many apps open. They can't get their blank assignment to load, their video won't turn on, etc. So some tips I have to mitigate that, to kind of solve that issue. Step one, always restart your device, a hard restart. We're not talking sleep mode here or anything like that. You are literally turning all the way off and all the way on every day. What that's going to do is it's going to clear out any of the, we'll just call it gunk, computer gunk that you guys have, and it will help it run a little bit faster. The next thing to do is, I don't know about you, but my students always want to be on YouTube and they always want to be on Spotify and they want their music and their video streaming and everything. That takes a lot of bandwidth. That takes a lot of your internet capacity. So if you're downloading too much data, you can't upload your video, right? So if you are getting rid of those extra tabs that you're not using, that usually helps. Removing any extra Chrome extensions that you're not using helps things run faster. And then kind of as a last resort, if you've done all these other things, you can actually turn off your student's video, and oftentimes that will make it so that they can still speak to the teacher or professional in charge. And then they are also able to still download the video and do what they need to do. So I've noticed with my students, one of the biggest problems is uploading their own videos. They'll still be talking to me, but once they click turn off on their videos, then they're able to do things. I would try all the other things first because it's hard as a teacher to know what's going on and to do check-ins if I can't see my students and I can't see and hear what they're doing. But as a last resort, you're having a bad internet day, that's a great thing to try. And then of course, are you close enough to your Wi-Fi? It's kind of amazing what a wall does, or being a little bit farther away, or just some other little small things. So just do a quick double check to make sure you're actually near where you need to be. So I'm going to share my screen now, and then I will show you guys kind of a little walkthrough from the student view, and then give you some ideas of what you can do to kind of facilitate your students' best interest during this time. So as we are looking at the student platform, so this is Classroom. So up here on the left, this is going to be that pancake I was talking about. So on this, you're going to see their classes, you'll see this to-do list, and then you'll see settings. Settings are what you want if you are overwhelmed by a million emails. On this page, your student can change their picture. So if they tell you that they don't know how to change that kind of questionable picture they have for their profile, they do. So you can have them, help them to choose a wiser choice here. And then you can click email notifications, class notifications, all kinds of options there. Then you would want to go back to your dashboard. You just hit classes. And then the next thing that you're going to want to do, of course, is figure out what is due when. I am overwhelmed. Right? So you go to your to-do menu. And here, for example, this is just kind of a fake class, but you can see stuff that is upcoming this week. Now, what you're going to notice is right now, I'm only on the assigned menu, right? So how do I find out what is like missing? Well, you can go to this missing list and all of a sudden you can see all the things that have not been turned in. And if I am a sneaky student, sometimes I don't always click on this earlier link about things that are very late. You can see my fake student did a terrible job this week and last term of AP biology. And you can kind of see what's actually missing. Over here, you're going to have the done. This means that they've actually turned in the assignment. So one quick little note about assignments, just because your student has clicked done does not mean that it actually has been turned in. All it means, or even that they've accessed it. So as you guys can see here, my Unit 4 study guide, it was due, it's late, parents are mad at me, I can't go to prom or something. And I don't even have to actually click that, I can just click the turn in button. And lo and behold, it looks like it's fine. So if you are having somebody who is being a little reluctant, which I totally understand because being on the computer all day is kind of rough, you can always ask them, okay, well, show me your little to-do list. Let's go look at the done section and let's check out your assignment. Why don't you click on it and show me what work you did? Let's talk about it. Obviously, people don't have time to do that all of the time, but that is an option for you. The other way that you can check on to do, like what you have to do, is by clicking on this calendar icon. So this is what I was talking about before when I was referring to the fact that you can actually auto-populate. This is great. So I can just look at this from this week and see, okay, on Tuesday, I have these 2 assignments due. You know, let's say last term, these were when my assignments were due. And then by actually just clicking on it, let's say I click on cell signaling, it takes me directly to the assignment. So I don't even have to be in the right class. I don't even have to know what's happening. I just can kind of take a quick look at my day. But remember that those do require those due dates to be effective. Now, the other thing that I want to point out is that the classroom stream is my enemy on Google, because the classroom stream is literally a stream of thought. It just spews out nonsense, and it is sometimes helpful and sometimes not. It's like okay for little announcements, but if you're not careful, you can like see everything the teacher posts and it doesn't put them in any sort of order at all. What you actually want is this classwork tab. This classwork tab is magic. What it does is it has organized by topics, whatever your instructor has chosen to do. So I do weekly things. I have materials at the top. And then you can see, anyway, so you can see what you're actually trying to like accomplish that week, right? You can like narrow it down a little bit. So maybe if missing labs, you would go to the lab section or something like that. So classwork is great. It's good. You can easily see due dates. It's wonderful. If it is blue, that means you have not turned it in. If it is gray, you have clicked that button, but maybe verify whether or not things happened or not. As you can see, the student didn't do much yet. And that's kind of my basic walk around for Google. If you're feeling really fancy, there are so many other options. There are so many other ways you can utilize this platform, but these are kind of my basic pro tips. So thank you for hanging out and listening.